She should be hopping on any second. I just saw her pop in. Save the Bees is here. Hello, my love. Awesome. Hey, Bella.
Hello. Is it working?
How are
Okay, good.
Yes, it is. It is. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. I spent most of my day pricing crystals, so you know how that goes. Lots of looking and digging through invoices and stickers everywhere.
That's the part, right?
Yeah. Hey, let me know if you can hear me because last time I was live with Koya, we had like an echo on my end.
No, it sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So I'll just recap really quickly because when we post, you know, this goes to YouTube. So just our quick intro as usual. My name is Priscilla. I am the host from the Moon Artisan, and today we have Bella from C3 Crystals. Bella, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. I'm Bella from C3 Crystals. We also have a YouTube channel as well that we are building. And then, of course, our IG presence and TikTok as well, too.
Awesome. I love it. Awesome. So today we're discussing, as I was saying earlier, crystals for love.
Yes. You know, I wasn't sure what to talk about this week. And then on one of my TikToks, I was talking about manifestation. And somebody asked if you could use crystals to manifest a specific person to love you. And so I wanted to talk about that because I think a lot of people maybe have that question when there's someone you like and maybe they're not reciprocating, and can you use crystals in that way to call them into you? I don't believe you can. I think I have another approach though. So I'm not saying that like you can't call in love, but I always caution with calling in a specific person. I don't know, what do you think from your work with crystals?
Well, I've been married for a long time prior to when I started using crystals. So I've never used them in that way, although I've heard people do use them, but I can't vouch personally from experience. I know some people say carnelian can be really good for that, and that's like the hot thing right now on TikTok. Everybody's using it for everything. I saw some teenagers post a TikTok of how they were trying to they were going on a date, and so they were trying to get to first base, and they were going to test the carnelian and it worked. So I just thought that was cute.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, and I mean, there are lots of ways to use crystals in that kind of relationship way. And so I wanted to talk about it because I think there are ways to use crystals to call in love for yourself, call in a relationship. I totally think we can do that. And there's grids you can put together for that. And I'm going to share with you the crystals that you can actually use to do that. But what I wanted to talk about first, because we're talking kind of about love, you know, overall. And
yeah,
I think it's important to, before we try to like manifest or attract or use crystals for like a romantic relationship, that we first do our inner work, you know, do that work with who we are, and crystals for self-love first. Because if any of you, and you all can just drop some emojis, if you find yourself in that same relationship, maybe that negative one over and over and over again, you're like, oh my God, here we go again. It's like repeat. Until you cycle, if you try to use crystals to attract another relationship, you're probably going to attract the same relationship again. So that's kind of, you know, you talk about this on your lives about doing the work, not just using crystals. So that's definitely step one, is doing that self-love work, feeling confident in who you are, feeling like you can be yourself. And, you know, when you find that partner you can be yourself with, and you're true to yourself, not changing yourself for them, like a lot of people do in their teens and 20s and even into the early 30s. You'll see that too. So I think that's the first step when we're doing that work. And some people like can do it in 6 months to a year. Other people, it takes a couple of years, but really getting to that place first. I can see some of the comments. That's my sister and red flags, but she's also a Libra. Oh, it's hard, and everybody has to kind of learn in their own time, you know, what's going to work for them. You know, in my teens and 20s, I pretty much was in and out of just toxic relationships. It wasn't until I
Oh,
did that inner work, right? Then you're like, oh, okay, like I met my now husband in my 30s after I had done that work, and I attracted a person who was a good match for me and had also done their inner work too. But for sure, that self-love piece is so important. Otherwise, we just keep attracting those crappy people again. And I know none of you guys to do that. Mm-mm.
Another point is also just exploring what you like and don't like when you're young. Like for some reason when I was young, I was attracted to like the bad boys that needed fixing. Like, you know, I wanted to fix them. And then later on as I grew up, I realized, you know what? Tired of being y'all's mom. So I need me a man who's got it together. And then, you know, just throughout those experiences, realizing that, you know what, maybe these tragic love stories aren't what's best for me. So, you know, that's like, I just think a part of everybody's like journey, right? Learning what works for them in their life and what doesn't.
Yes, and identifying like that cycle, like you said, I was definitely into that too. Like the bad boy, the harder to get, you got to chase them, but then there's trouble. And then you start learning, you're like, this is not healthy for me. Maybe I need something different. And you start to change. And some people just, you know, learn on the job, so to speak. Like you just go through it and you're like, okay, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. Some of us work with like coaches, or you talk to your good friends or a therapist, you know, to work through those. So everyone has their different levels. But yeah, the 20s and the bad boys, right?
For sure.
And then
good times, but also so many mistakes that could have been avoided.
yes, I often look back and I'm like, what was I doing? What was I doing? If I had known. But I think, you know, it's all timing, right? We all have our own timing. We all have our own lessons we learn. My Saturn return was a real fun time, but it was a good time too. That growth period we all go through, usually like our late 20s, early 30s. So
that's actually when I got married.
did you get married during your Saturn return?
Yeah. Yeah. My husband and I did everything backwards. We met each other. We had kids first and then went to college and then got married instead of going to college first, getting married, then having kids. We did everything backwards. So, but we had been together for a long time, but it wasn't until that Saturn return that we were like, this looks like it's going to be forever. So we should probably seal the deal.
Yeah, and you have that big change in your life, right? And then it was the precipitance of you getting married. Totally. Yeah, it's a great example. Absolutely. I didn't meet my husband until after my Saturn return. My husband is actually my second husband. My first husband was not a good relationship, and I learned from that and took it into my second marriage, my final marriage, my last one, my forever one. But if I hadn't gone through that, I don't think I would have been the right match for my husband. Like I had to experience those things for us to fit as a match, really, because the who I was changed too.
Definitely.
Right?
Oh, yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I mean, even though I wasn't, you know, married, you know, before my husband, I can still remember, you know, if it wasn't like me wanting to like fix the bad boys, it was also like aspects of me either being self-conscious or like just like, you know, things that you go through when you're young, just like little toxic things that I can say that I was dealing with. And through those relationships, those traits were brought to light. And then I was able to know like, hey, like, okay, this isn't a healthy way for me to maybe express my anger, or this isn't a healthy way for me to like think about myself, right? Or like, you know, just different things that kind of highlight these areas of life for you and you learn from them and then you get better at it.
Yeah, absolutely. They're like those lessons where you're in them and you're like, crap, I'm so done with learning lessons. And then you
I know.
like, oh, okay, I see why now. Like, all right, universe, we're cool. Like, we'll keep going.
Yeah.
And so as you do that inner work, obviously we want to use crystals to facilitate that, crystals for inner self growth, things like your strawberry quartz. If you have trauma, like traumatic relationships, working with flower agate as well too would be really good. I would start there. Again, you know, it's your basic crystals that are super affordable, like your amethyst and your rose quartz that are they're like just good for everything, right? They're just good for everything. That self-love meditation, but also when we're doing the self-love piece, and then I'll get to the relationship next. Meditate, you also want to incorporate some positive affirmations too. And it could be one or two that you incorporate with your meditation with the rose quartz or an amethyst or flower agate, strawberry quartz. You want to incorporate those, something like, I am worthy of love, respect, and kindness. You know, I deserve to have a healthy relationship, calling in those statements. And I would keep it to like something short and sweet that you can remember that'll be impactful for you. And then we can go into the relationship stuff. So I brought all the crystals. There's so many. There's so many you can use. They're all in my lovely little gold tray. So I'll show you all some of the crystals, which there are many you can use to call in love, like a romantic relationship. You can definitely use, oops, they almost went down, use a grid. Grids I see would probably be most beneficial. Maybe like, probably like just a standard circle grid, like a circle, flower of life, kind of calling in some type of relationship. And the crystals that I recommend are probably some citrine. So citrine is one of those two, like citrine, amethyst, rose quartz, like they are just good for so much stuff. Like if you don't have a citrine, you need a citrine, like a natural one. And a lot of these are heart chakra related crystals, like aventurine. It's also good for calling in those relationships, positive, healthy relationships, like a grid. It'd be similar to like a financial abundance grid, like with that pyrite, without pyrite, but like be similar. You could replace it with like moonstone. To our next one, moonstone. So moonstone's also good. It's also the mother's stone, calling in a relationship, but it's that soothing, calming energy. And then, of course, like our garnet. Garnet's going to be really good for that too. Yeah, you can't find it. Feels garnet. It just looks like a black ball. I swear, it's this gorgeous red color. And then this one's a little harder to find, but Rhodochrosite is really good for that too, calling in love. It looks like, here, this piece is a little bit easier to see. They look like little slabs of bacon. So Rhodochrosite's excellent for calling in relationships. You can wear Rhodochrosite. So if you ever have pendants or bracelets, those are great ways to call in love when you're like walking around and about, having that on. This one's a little harder to find too, but I thought I'd show it. I only have one piece in just my personal collection, which is Koonzai. This is a rough Koonzai, but there are bracelets. Now Koonzait's expensive. A Koonzai bracelet can be quite pricey, but if you find them, I like the Koonzai bracelets. Are a nice lavender color. They're really pretty. And then of course, you all know what rose quartz looks like. If you've been here on the Moon Artisan, you know. So rose, I've been really into kind of the rough glossy pieces lately. They've been super pretty. And then of course, Rhodonite. This is a Peruvian Rhodonite. The Madagascar one's like a maroon color, a darker purple color. And so I really love Rhodonite as well too. And then shapes too. So you'll see some of these are heart shaped. So the shape can help call in as well too. So of course we're going to call in love. We want to use heart shaped crystals. Can just amplify the intention that you set with the crystals. And so a lot of heart chakra crystals, agate as well too. This is an agate heart. Agates are really good for calling in that too, but also kind of having that joy and laughter in a relationship, which I think is always really important. And then of course, flower agate. Flower agate is going to be good for that self-love. And then if you have any prior traumatic relationships and you're working through that, flower agate can be really complementary to that work. And of course, everyone knows this one too. You all know this one, amethyst. This is a sparkly one. And amethyst is going to be great working with that energy as well too. And when I say working with crystals, I get this question a lot. People are like, what do you do with them? Like, where do you keep them? Where are they? I think jewelry is the best, like on your body, if you can find any of these crystals in like jewelry form, or by your bedstand while you sleep at night. And it sounds weird to keep the love crystals by your bed if you're single, but you want to call in again that energy while you're sleeping. And when we're sleeping, we're a little more receptive because our brain isn't usually like getting in the way of stuff. So, and there. And then if you're into feng shui, you can look into where your relationship corner is in your house. And you can also place crystals there. So you can do just a couple crystals. It doesn't have to be super fancy. You can just place a few of these, have them in that spot in your home. Just Google like feng shui relationship corner. And that's a great way to start. That's kind of what I'd recommend if you're getting started working with these relationships, but also being really clear in what kind of a relationship you want. Especially for those of you, I'm going to put these guys down, who were like me and maybe spent your 20s and teens in really bad relationships, like really unhealthy ones. You really want to make a list of like, what is a healthy relationship? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a power to writing, right? Scripting what you're trying to manifest. Pretty Little Pebble says, I'm having difficulty recalling dreams. Any crystals to help with that?
Yeah, Labradorite.
Yeah.
Labradorite. If you're feeling frisky, you could do some moldavite. Sometimes I do that. If you want to your dreams.
Yeah.
But Labradorite.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I've slept with Labradorite under my pillow. And oh my God. I feel like people underestimate Labradorite. Like they really it's underrated. I mean, my experience with it, the first time ever, almost equivalent to moldavite, to be like, for me. Yeah, it was really strong for me. I really enjoyed it.
That's what actually happened to my husband. I put a large Labradorite freeform on his side of the bed. I was just like decorating the house, and I'm like, naturally, I put the Labradorite by the bed for dream work, and he comes to me the next day. He's like, I had the most vivid dreams. And then he went on for like a week, like still having these vivid dreams. He's like, I don't know what it is. And I'm like, oh yeah, I put that Labradorite by your side of the bed. He's like, weird, vivid like dreams. So yeah, Labradorite.
I think isn't Moonstone also really good for that?
It's more calming and soothing. I mean, I haven't seen it used for dream recall, but it totally could. You know, everybody's energy is different, so you always got to try stuff out. You know, you can trust us, but always try it for yourself because your energy might absorb it differently, like moldavite, right? Some people love it. Other people, it creeps them out. So everybody's different.
I think we gave this example last time, or maybe it was with Koya, but we were talking about how when you go to a doctor and you maybe you have symptoms like a migraine or something like that, and they prescribe you a certain medication, it doesn't work, but it works for others, just doesn't work for you, so they have to switch your medication. And it's just because the body just reacts differently to these different minerals and chemicals and stuff. So it's the same with crystals. You got to play with it until you find the right one.
Absolutely. And that's why I gave you all a bunch to work with. So you can play with whichever ones you have on hand. That's what I recommend first, to just keep it easy. Like grab what you have on hand, meditate with it, use those, and see what works best for you. You know, even with like relaxation, you know, a lot of people love amethyst, but my favorite for relaxation is lepidolite. So you got to kind of play with it and see which ones work best for you. Some people love rose quartz. Other people are like, man, it's too gentle. It doesn't do enough for them.
Right. I feel like that too. I definitely prefer lepidolite. Yeah. And so we talked about like the self-love and attracting it, and how to, like the technicality of how to. But I noticed we didn't mention carnelian. Is there a reason why, or is it more like, is it too like targeted for sexual energy and not so much love?
You can use it for attracting a relationship, but it does have a tinge of sexual energy. So it depends on what you're trying to get, right? So
it might be more lusty, right?
Yeah, it might be a little more risky if you want more than sex. I mean, if you just want sex, no judgment, you know. Or then I might not use the carnelian right away. I might start with something else.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think it's so funny how on TikTok all these teenagers are just going crazy with it. It makes sense though.
It makes sense. It's just funny. You know, it's always something. What, it was Moldavite for a while. Everybody wanted Moldavite, and then the market was flooded with fake Moldavite, and then now it's carnelian, and, you know, who knows what it'll be next. You know, whatever's the next sexy crystal, probably.
I can't believe pink amethyst isn't one of them. I think pink amethyst is so pretty.
It's so cool, and it's a newer, you know, kind of find,
Hmm.
which I thought was cool, but nope, they just want the either super rare. Carnelian's not that rare. I mean, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's not like Moldavite or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that that was the one that like took off. But yeah, you can use that for relationships, but be cautious what you get with that.
Yes, definitely.
No,
I mean, I know there is people though. When I used to read tarot, for before I when I started the Moon Artisan, it was originally a tarot page, and that's where I was getting readings, and then later on I added crystals to the shop, and then I just transitioned to crystals only because you just get the weirdest questions sometimes with tarot, and a lot of the time you'd be surprised how the spiritual community can draw like, you know, kind of lower vibrational, um, I guess, behaviors you could call them, but it does. And yeah, if there's a market for like that kind of query in tarot, I'm sure that there is the same in crystals.
yes, there's actually a shop that I believe specializes on IG. I can't think of their name. It's not coming to me, but they specialize in like sexuality and crystals, like crystals for sexy time, in different
Uh-huh.
shapes is what I will say. So there is a shop on, there's actually
Oh.
two that I keep, one of them I keep seeing an ad for it. I don't know why. I'm like, I'm good. But the other one, I do know the person personally that has it, and I can't think of the name of their shop, and I feel really awful. I wish I knew what it was, but if anyone's,
Well, you see so many shops all day with our feed since we are a shop account. So I don't blame you, but I've seen some shops that are only yoni
yeah,
crystals, and that's all they sell too. But that's different. That's not so much like for self-pleasure, right?
that's more for
That'd be great.
strengthening that area. And some people even use them like when they're gonna, before they're gonna give birth, to strengthen the muscles in there. Or you can also use them, this is maybe TMI if you're not a mom, like postpartum, things sometimes
Mhm.
happen down there and you want to tone it up. So those can also be used for toning that area. So there is like a medical, if you will, kind of benefit to those in addition to, I do
Mhm.
think people do use them for sexual pleasure as well, but I think there is also a large medical component to toning the lady bits, we'll say.
Yeah, yeah. I like that it's Leo season, and Leo has to. I mean, it has to do with love, but unlike like a Venetian season, like if we're in Taurus or Libra, it's different, right? I feel like there's a big like love is in the air a lot whenever it's Leo season. Is that just me, or do you think so too?
I think so too. And I think as we start to cool off too, is when like all of a sudden it's like you want to get cozy. It's getting a little,
Mhm.
depending on where you are in the country, it might be getting hotter right now. But I think for the
Yeah.
most part, there's definitely that energy. I did feel a big shift. I don't know about all of you. This Saturday we had that, or Sunday we had the huge astrological event associated with the new moon in Leo. So that was,
Mhm.
I mean, we have the new moon in Leo every year, but this had a couple other things going on at the same time that I really think I felt kind of a shift in energy. Absolutely. So I don't know if you felt that too.
I definitely did. Although like I've been learning about astrology a lot. I mean, I already knew about astrology, but um my New Year's resolution this year was to to get a lot more like detailed with the knowledge that I have about astrology because everything that I do revolves around the moon phases, and I do have to keep in mind the transits just because you don't want to do something, you know, any kind of work if there's certain transits, it's kind of pointless. But that's like as far as my knowledge went. Like I don't know how to predict things or like just like learning more of those fine-tuning things like the aspects as quadrants, and then you got like the trines and the squares and all these things, right? So all these things were things that I wanted to really like learn this year. And I found myself this month thinking like it's like already past half the year and I never committed to taking like a formal course. And so like, especially on that new moon in Leo, that's the day I decided what teacher I was going to learn under, and kind of like, it was like that initiation of that new journey that I'm planning to take in strengthening those skills. But that's how kind of how it manifested for me, but definitely a change. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if it was happening in your ninth house, because that's like your education and learning. Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Mhm.
And see.
I wonder, yeah, I'd have to check. I can't remember at the top of my head, but that's true.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
And I
Mm-hmm.
do like when there's one of those big events coming up, I have an astrologer that I personally work with who I have do my charts, and she posts videos before, and I'm like, okay, is this a good one? And then I watch her video. I'm like, okay, this is a legit one. This is a good one to do. Yeah, because you're times it's not, or there's certain new moons where it's better to manifest certain things like relationships or like financial abundance. And then what house it's happening in for you makes a difference too. So I follow the Lunatic Astrologer, which it's a loon like Luna, like moon. And she has a YouTube channel, and she will do like a short little all signs before. And so she kind of helps you decide like, okay, what's best for your rising sign? What should you focus on? And so I really her, and she said that it would be between like the 8th and the 11th. So really the 11th is when we would feel the most of the effects of the Lionsgate's portal. So it's really interesting.
Easy, yeah. I follow Astro Weather Lady. I've been with her for a long time. I think I think you know her. She's really active in my community, and I am in hers. But she's also really great. There's just so much to learn in astrology. And she's helped me a lot too along the way. It's just so important to either have an astrologer or like learn astrology yourself, because it's just really like we were talking about earlier, how like when we're young we go through so many mistakes figuring ourselves out, right? When if you just learned your astrology chart, it kind of like puts things in perspective for you. If this planet is in this house and it's making this aspect where you're like, well shit, no wonder I keep making these mistakes, like no wonder I have these behavioral patterns or whatnot. So it kind of like, it's like a shortcut to your shadow work in a way.
I think so too. It definitely helps you do that shadow work, or where you see certain things in your life. I mean, it was really cool when I was like talking with an astrologer for the first time many years ago. And my astrologer, when she was trying to kind of like pinpoint my birth time because we didn't think it was accurate, she's like, oh, so did you get divorced like here? It looks like this is when it would have happened. And it's like, I didn't tell her that, but she could just tell from the chart that that was probably like the end of a relationship of some kind. So it's really cool if you guys have it. And I'll check out the Astro Weather Lady. I might actually be following her, and I just don't realize it. It's weird how IG picks who you get to see in the main feed. I need to go and adjust that more. But yeah, it's really with relationships too with astrology. You can kind of look at your charts. When's the best time to look for someone, to try to cultivate a relationship, and when you should start doing that. When's the time to just have fun? Like you were saying, in your 20s and teens, it's like, just have fun, like enjoy, lower stress than when you're in your 30s, I feel like.
Yeah. Astro Weather Lady, she actually practices a kind of astrology I had never heard of before until I met her. And I think it's actually a recent like school of astrology. It's called evolutionary astrology. And so yeah, what they do, it's kind of like, it's like psychological astrology, where they help you through that like shadow work process, and they help you, it's a lot of like past life talking points. So they'll tell you like, well, it looks like you did XYZ in your past life, and that's why your north node is here, or your south node is here. So you're looking at, you know, your north node is over here now because this is what you need to master in this lifetime. And so it kind of like it gives you direction, right? Especially when you're looking to astrology for the sole purpose of you know finding yourself. I think that's very important. Um, yeah, but I didn't end up learning under the teacher that she learned with, just because that's like for me that was like it's kind of like a deep topic, right? Learning about the soul and learning about like reincarnation and learning about like which are things that do interest me, but right now like I want to get the basic mathematical functions down first before I learn the deeper stuff. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I would love
Mhm.
to. I've read like a lot of beginner books, but I would love to do the deeper
Mhm.
stuff too. And I'm just trying to find the right teacher. That's what I'm looking for too. You want to DM?
I decided to go. There's I don't know, you've probably seen him on YouTube. He's everywhere on social media, but everyone knows him for the astrology podcast. His channel on YouTube is literally named the Astrology Podcast, and his name is Chris Brennan.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, you would like him. He went yeah, you can have it, baby. Hold on. Okay. I love you too. The little baby walked in. Yeah, he went to Kepler College, and so he has a formal education in astrology. And he was part of something called Project Hindsight back in the 90s, which was basically when they recovered ancient texts and they translated them and kind of like put all these notes together to basically revive what they called Hellenistic astrology or traditional astrology. And so that's the school of astrology that he's in and that he teaches. But it's like I like that for at least as a beginner, it's got that like foundational thing that you need when it comes to like the history of astrology. Where does it come from? Like, how did it, like, who are the people who influenced it? Like the ancients and the civilizations and both like, like all these really famous people in history who contributed to it. And all those things I think is important to have like a good, solid, like background before you do deeper stuff or try to help other people or things like that. You know what I mean?
I think that sounds so cool. I'm totally gonna write that down now because
Mhm.
I forget if I don't. I can go watch this again if I forget. I'm gonna go look him up because I think that's the person my astrologist referred me to as well. Because she's
Chris Brennan.
style, and I think that's who she told me does the classes. So
Yeah, he's very, very well respected in the community. He's definitely like an authority.
awesome.
You'd like.
It is.
Hmm.
Well, maybe I'll be able to do it with you. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, his class is all online. So he has a Facebook group, of course, and there's like but the classes are all like online. So you do them as you go. You don't have to like report to a class or like there's no like schedule you need to follow. You do it on your own time, and that's which I think is great for us, right? As moms, and we have jobs and we work, and it's hard to like stick to going to a class at a certain time. I can't do that.
No, yeah, pre-recorded classes are my jam. Yeah, like I can do that at, like, in the morning or in the evening, totally. But you know what? We forgot to talk about manifesting the relationship. I forgot to give the tips for that. So
Oh,
I'm gonna looking at my notes. I'm like, I totally didn't tell them how to do it.
okay. Okay, go ahead.
So when we are using the crystals to manifest a relationship, I first
Hmm.
recommend that everybody, we were talking about, you make a list, write out everything that defines a healthy relationship, and don't do it in like a day. Do it over a couple weeks. So take time to really build the list. If you don't know what a healthy relationship is, maybe you've never been in one. I hadn't until like my 30s. So you may have to Google it. You may have to go online and see like what's a healthy relationship. Psychology Today will have like some things for healthy relationships that are all free to look up, and making that a part of your list. And for my list, it had over 70 items on it. So don't be shy when you're making your list. And I made that list as a way to manifest like my ideal partner, like everything this person would have, specifics about the person. And I kid you not, my husband matches every single thing on that list. No joke. Like I wrote out the list, meditated on it, did my self work for a couple years before. And yeah, within probably like a 4-week period from when I wrote the list, I went on my first date with my husband. So yeah, you never know. But I was very specific. Like I wasn't just putting 3 things on there. There was over 70 items on it.
Wow, I love that. I think we did go over that a little bit when we were talking about scripting.
So the scripting is really important key component for yourself and for cultivating the relationship too. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, like even like there's so many things that I practice, but writing things down is always very prominent in all of those. Writing things down is so important.
Absolutely. It's that connection between like our brain and our hand and taking it out of the brain. I always tell people that I'm like, you have to get it out of your brain or you will lose it and it will not be as powerful as if you make it real. Take it from your mind to actuality, to the reality.
Right, right. And that is that so when we're thinking about things, right, we're dealing with that concept of air. And if we understand metaphysics and we understand that you got the 4 basic elements, then it only makes sense that you bring down that that air quality from what you're trying to manifest and bring it down into an earth quality by putting it out literally into the world, whether it be on a piece of paper or, you know, etc.
Typing it out. I don't know. I'm old school. Like I just find there's something about like paper and a pen or a pencil versus putting it in your phone. I don't tie a phone or technology to like a Taurus or like a grounding energy. It's definitely more of an air energy to me. I don't know. What do you think about it?
I feel the same way, and it was always so hard for me when I was in college because I don't know how people did it back in the day, writing down notes with like I couldn't, so I just wasn't fast enough. So what I had to do was I'm faster at typing than I am at writing. But what I would do is I would just like listen to the lecture and just type everything down. And then when I would get home, I would rewrite what I typed, but this time with like pen and paper to actually digest the information. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I couldn't do, but I couldn't listen, like really digest the information and write at the same time. I couldn't.
And that's where that whole component comes in, that it's that air piece. Sometimes we need the physical writing piece. That's where I think online classes are so cool, because if you need a minute, you're like, okay, I can rewind or I can pause, digest, continue. And I think that makes a huge difference in how we learn and how we engage in life as well too. So even when we talk about manifesting, and it's the same kind of thing when you're studying, you're trying to manifest a grade, right? So it's a similar concept. And so writing it out helps you manifest that grade, taking it from that air energy into that earth energy. And then you're going to translate it into earth energy, because usually tests are like paper and pencil or pen. Usually they're, well, not nowadays, right? I mean, everything's online now.
Everything's virtual. Back then, kids. Back in our day.
We had to use pencil and paper. I mean, I think I might be older than you, because when I was in undergrad, when I was doing my bachelor's, to get like a research article, sometimes I had to request it from another school. Now you can just go online and pull them from a database online. They're all digital. They use hard copy. I'd have to wait like 2 weeks for them to fax it. No joke.
I never had to do that one. That's
awful.
Tedious.
It was awful.
Well, I guess there's the perks then to the kids who have a more prominent air placement in their life nowadays.
I wonder if they have an easier time learning that way. Ooh, I'm curious now.
I wonder too. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to.
I imagine so, because it's like you said, you know, even us as like, you know, adults, we're still, although we're not in university anymore, we're still like, I'm doing an astrology course, you've done, you know, other courses too, and those are all online. So we do kind of have the experience of learning online virtually, and it definitely, it does help.
Oh.
I think it does. It just, maybe at least the aspect of like being able to do it on your own time, I think is helpful.
Yeah, I think I'm one of the weird ones. I don't know if it has anything to do with like my rising sign, but I like learning online. And for me, I absorb the content better than if it's in person because I can sit with it, I can pause it, I can rewind it, and
Hmm.
I learn a lot better that way for sure. I have no idea
Yeah,
relationship there. Maybe I will after the class. So
agreed, agreed. I think you took Hibiscus Moon's course, right?
yeah, that's one of the courses I've done. I've done 3 separate courses.
Yeah.
The other ones, I can't remember who I did them with. I can't remember the name of it was so long ago. But I hadn't done one in a long time, so I did the Hibiscus Moon one, which is really good. I really recommend it. Easy to follow, nice structure. She does some good energy healing in there for like pets and for people, and it's really cool. So I do recommend that one if anyone's looking. I really enjoyed it. I still
Yeah, yeah, I've never taken her course, but I love her. I think she's so awesome. Um, I remember seeing one of her videos where she was talking about love too, crystals for love, and she mentioned the heart shape, but how she's so cute. She's like, you can lay it down on your heart center and just visualize little hearts coming out. I thought that was the cutest exercise ever. So cute.
I love it. And if you don't follow her, she does cute little snippet videos like that. She just had one the other day about how to like calm yourself. So she's got fun little tidbits she puts out there too. And that's another great way too, like imagining that the little hearts coming out. I used to do that in yoga, like at the end in Savasana, I would just sit there and like imagine little hearts, like I was just sending this good vibes and good energy into the world. And I think that visualization is also a really powerful technique too. Like a
Hmm.
big manifestation coaches will tell you to like sit with your manifestation. So if you're trying to manifest a relationship, trying to visualize what the relationship would look like, not necessarily the person, and how you might feel. Like try to actually feel how you would feel if you were in that relationship. So yeah,
Exactly.
is huge too.
And I forget where I heard this, but like all those things that we've just said go back to the four basic elements. So you have the visualization, that's the air component. You have the writing it down, that's the earth component. You have the feeling, that's the water component. You have the actual doing the work, that's the fire component, right? Do the do. So when you put all those four practices together, that's when your magic really starts to happen.
Absolutely. And it's
Mhm.
practice too. So like if you decide to make this list and you're trying to visualize it, but then you forget or you have kids and you're like, "Ah, I don't know what day it is, don't be so hard on yourself. Like don't give up right away. You can always take a day off, go back to it. But part of what I did with my list too is every night before I went to bed, I read through the list. And when I wrote that list, I wrote them as like what I already had. So I wrote
Mhm.
present tense, like this was something that was already a relationship I had. And I read it every night. So I don't know if everybody, I was single at the time and I didn't have kids. So it was easy for me to sit and read like 70 questions a night. Um,
Mhm.
but if you can do that, I definitely, that really helps when we combine all of those elements together and still doing the work. So part of crystals, as you all know, is we always need to do the work still. They have
Yes.
effect just like you could just hang out and you can meditate with, a crystal on your heart chakra and you're going to get the energy. But without doing the
Mhm.
work, when as soon as you take the crystal away and that energy starts to dissipate, you're just going to go back to like stage one. It's not going to help you.
Yeah, and sometimes they're kind of like I feel I always I caution my clients and let them know not to use the crystals as a crutch because sometimes, like the same, we can go refer back to the medical field and how they prescribe medications. We can go again with the migraine scenario. So if you have a migraine, you go to a doctor, they give you a medicine, doesn't work, you try another medicine, that one works because your body reacted, accordingly. But also, there's like usually when you have a migraine, it's because you have some kind of vitamin deficiency or whatever. And if you that has been made known to you, you got to do the work and make sure you get that vitamin in, or else you're just gonna be putting a band-aid over it forever.
Yes, and I see so many people do that with crystals. I'm like, if you don't do the inner work, you take that crystal off and it's like it'll dissipate after a while. Or like I do chakra cleansing for people and I tell them, I said, I can cleanse your chakras. I can realign you today. We can have you all balanced. But if you don't do the work associated with the imbalance, they're just going to
Mm-hmm.
go back to how they were. So part of it is that shadow work, that mental work we have to do to keep that alignment or to work towards manifest something. And I kind of blame The Secret for this. I like The Secret. I like the book when it came out, but I feel it kind of perpetuated like, just think positive and everything will happen. And it didn't mention really doing the work to change your beliefs or to change different things about you and how you're thinking to manifest or to live a better life. So I always blame The Secret. I'm like, it's a little bit too positivity for me.
Yes, yeah, that is a thing in the community, that toxic positivity. But I also think it's just outside of that, I think you're correct. But I don't know what it is. Kids these days just they have that like they want that instant gratification, and um, just spirituality doesn't work that way. There's so many components to learn, both about yourself and about different practices and how you incorporate them. And it's like a lifelong journey. And these kids want it fast and they want it now. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
I don't want some of the lessons I went through really fast. I feel like it would be too much. You know, you're right. And I think too, when we learn and we start getting into manifesting of any kind, we start about like, oh, I didn't get results. It's been like 6 weeks, like nothing happened. You know, oh, this doesn't work or this isn't true. And it takes time, you know, it's all about timing that if you, however you believe or agree with like divine timing or the universe timing, whatever your belief is, you know, it's all going to happen in that the best and most beneficial way to you. And that's not always, I'll agree. Like I love me some instant gratification. So,
Yeah.
and I get frustrated when things are not like materializing as quickly as I would like. So it's definitely something I still struggle with. I'm like, gosh, not again. Like, okay, I thought I learned this. You know, can I just manifest the next level, please?
Or sometimes it's just like, I know this happens to me whenever it's like, whenever a planet is in retrograde, sometimes that happens to me. Like I will think that I mastered something and then it kind of like, I don't know, I kind of get like ricocheted back and it happens again. And I'm like, I thought I learned this already.
Yes.
I know.
Damn it, we've freaking been here already. Why are we back here? Like, I thought we were done with this. I'm like, all right, I'm listening this time. What did I miss? Like,
yeah. Yeah, there's so many components to this, but I really encourage everyone to have the patience and stick with it, because I know it can, when you have that kind of like, especially when you're young and you want the instant gratification, it can be, honestly, if I'm being full disclosure, when I was younger and I didn't know as much both about life and spirituality, there was times when I would fall off the bandwagon and just quit reading about astrology, quit reading about, whatever, and just do my normal life. And then I would come back on and then research some more, and then I'd fall off again, and then I'd research some more, and then it just happens. But I think it's just that part is part of this, and this again goes to like the younger crowd, right? It's normal to lose focus, especially when you have friends calling you and they want to hang out, and life is different. Your routine is different, and all of that is okay, I guess. I just feel like don't desert it. Give it a second chance. And it's okay if you fall off. Just get back on later. There's no rush. You have a whole life. You have a whole lifetime.
yes, absolutely. Definitely. And I think that's a good point too. Like, if it doesn't work or if you don't feel like things are happening in the time you'd want or the way you'd want, I would, absolutely give it time, because especially in your 20s, like psychologically, your brain is literally changing in your early 20s. And that's kind of like, it finishes about rewiring right before Saturn return, which is super interesting. Like, this is a literal thing. Like, I teach psychology. Your brain literally changes the neural connections and how you use your brain in the early 20s into the late 20s is when the shift occurs, which also
Mhm.
up with the Saturn return in astrology, which I always thought was fascinating because it really hits right when your brain is changed. So you do change a lot too into your late 20s, early 30s, depending on, obviously everyone's different, right? Physically and metaphysically. But it's really interesting. Yeah. So you will change if they're the younger ones watching this. Who you are today at 22 is not who you will be at 32, for sure.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, if y'all knew me back then, I would be unrecognizable, completely unrecognizable.
Oh yeah, me too. My husband, we used to joke because I was a huge partier in my college days.
Mhm.
And now like I really don't like to go out at all. Like I'll do dinner or whatever, but I'm not a party person by any means since my husband met me. And he can't
Uh,
that when he meets some of my friends from college and they're telling stories about me, he's like, there's no way. I can't believe it. I can't even see you doing that. So yeah,
yeah.
totally a different person. I really don't drink anymore. I used to in college, of course, quite heavily. And so I'm definitely a 100% different person than I was, even in like my mid 20s, than I am now in my 30s.
Yeah, for sure. I was a Playboy bunny on Halloween during college. That says a lot. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
College days. Yep. Interesting times, and I think that's part of that shift. We change. We're kind of feeling things out though too. Like usually when you go to college, it's your first time outside of your parents' home. If you
Mhm,
parents, and so you're kind of experiencing life on your own, and it's really, really funny.
mhm. To be a kid again.
It was fun. We had fun. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, how did I make it to here?
Exactly. Oh, and then if you would have told me then that I was going to own a crystal shop and, teach abstract metaphysical concepts to people, I would have I would have not believed you at all. At all.
Me too. Me too. I would have been like, okay, sure. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's so much evolution that goes on throughout the lifetime, right?
Yeah,
And just got to take it day by day.
absolutely.
Mhm.
I know.
Get Unearthed says, OMG, same. My husband can't believe my college year stories. I believe you.
Yes, it's quite funny. Whenever my college friends come by, my husband's like, I don't believe it. I've never seen her do that. He's never seen me drunk or anything like that. I don't think ever since I've known him.
Really? Ever?
Yeah, I can't drink it really anymore. Alcohol makes me now, so I can have like 2 glasses of wine or champagne, but if I have any more than that, it'll just make me sick. It's really sad because I love wine. So I can still have some, but too much,
Yeah.
I will get sick. That's lovely, turning 30. That's my
Um,
early.
I know. I still love alcohol and I still drink. Not a lot, but, you know, time to time, 1 or 2 drinks. But if it's like something important, maybe like, I don't know, New Year's or a wedding, maybe I'll indulge a little more.
Yeah, I just,
But
I'm like, I'll just pay for it later. It's cool.
yeah, no, that's what I was getting at is that it's not the same. I can't my like hangovers the next day are torture.
And then when
Ugh.
you're children, it makes it extra hard when you have a hangover, small little people around you asking for stuff. So I think that's
Mhm.
too why I'm just like, it's not worth it for me anymore. But in my 20s, I didn't have kids, and so I didn't have any responsibilities, and I could drink and nothing would, I'd be fine. I'd go to work the next day. Now I'd have to call in sick.
Yep, I know how that goes. I feel you. We're coming up upon the hour. Um, Let me read. Get a nurse says same. I'm allergic to alcohol, so I don't drink too much. It's the Asian gene part of me. I turn bright red. Oh, I turn bright red too, but I'm Mexican. I wonder if that's a thing. I don't know. Do you get flushed?
Me, no, I don't get flushed. My husband's Mexican too, though, and he does get flushed when he drinks alcohol. He does definitely get a flush. So,
Yeah, we got this little pink section
yeah,
here.
he gets a little pink here when he's had like a couple of beers, a little extra beers.
I get that too.
Pinky face, yeah. Now,
That's so funny.
I just get extremely like, I will go from quiet to party. Like, if I have 3 drinks, it's party time. So I have to keep it mellowed out. Like, I will be the life of the party if you give me 3 drinks.
I know that definitely. I think that's when my husband and I met, I was like that, you know, and I was like, he's a Leo moon, so he loves to have fun. He's a Virgo, and we're both Virgos, so I think we understand each other a lot because Virgos are so picky and only another Virgo can understand another Virgo. But he's a Gemini rising, so it means he talks a lot, a lot, a lot. And he's a Leo moon, so he just wants to have fun. And even like into his adult years now, like he's still that way, even without alcohol. And I'm like, bro, you have no chill. You're just like, you know, and I'm over here like I can't keep up anymore. But I'm a Cancer moon, so I think like I'm like that just kicks in more as I've gotten older. I'm like this homebody and stuff. But definitely I was like that, you know, when I was young, and now whenever I drink, that kind of like you said, you kind of just turn into another person, and all of a sudden you're the life of the party again. So my husband's like always the instigator. He's like, you need a drink.
That's hilarious. I feel that's how my son's gonna be. He's a Gemini sun, but he's Leo rising, and I just feel like it's gonna be like wildness. Like I'm gonna have to watch him when he gets older.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's good and bad, right, in everything. All at the end of the day, you're just dealing with energy, right? But there's definitely pros and cons. But I think that although my husband's you know, very fiery energy bothers me, I think that I need it because if it wasn't for him, like that push of him, like, hey, let's go out and do something. Hey, let's go have fun today. Hey, let's go. Like, I would just be at home and be a hermit and not have a life. So we need that
We
balance.
need the balance to get out, go do something. Yes, totally.
Yeah. All right, Bella, it's been so fun. As always, I'm so happy we got to meet up. It was such a fun chat. Um, I'm gonna give everybody the rundown really quick again. You're on Instagram too, everywhere pretty much. I'm as well. My tags are at the Moon Artisan. We'll be posting this later. If anyone doesn't get to watch it, you can watch the replay there. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bella, go ahead and give us your little rundown.
Yeah, we're at C3 Crystals on IG, TikTok, and then on YouTube, we're That Crystal Show, and we're building. And then, of course, our website, c3crystals.com, is launching soon. So by the time this video is up, it'll be launched.
Yay! I'll definitely send you I think I always send you the link, but yeah, that way you can post it there too. You can download it on your computer and then upload it again.
Oh, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Do that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, Bella.
Thank you. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks for watching.